Imagine a father who risked everything, even his own soul, to secure his daughter's future. Stay tuned, because the shocking truth behind his sacrifice will leave you breathless. Jason Harris had always believed that love was the most valuable currency in the world. Every day in the small town of Maple Creek, he demonstrated this through the sacrifices he made for his daughter, Lily. Their life was simple: one modest house, a worn-out truck, and a tiny garage where Jason worked as a mechanic. Yet, in that simplicity, there was an abundance of warmth and unwavering devotion. Jason had become a single father when Lily was just a baby. His wife had passed away unexpectedly, leaving him with the monumental task of raising their little girl on his own. Despite the heavy burden of grief, Jason vowed to give Lily a life filled with hope and happiness. Every morning before dawn he would rise, his calloused hands already busy repairing engines and mending broken things, both mechanical and emotional. For Lily, he was her knight in grease-stained armor, a man whose every action whispered that she was the center of his universe. Lily grew up immersed in love. Even though their home lacked luxuries, every nook and cranny was filled with laughter, bedtime stories, and a sense of belonging. Jason had an uncanny ability to turn the simplest moments into cherished memories. He would playfully mimic the creaks of the old floorboards or pretend the clanking of his tools was a musical serenade just for her. His humor and gentle optimism made even the toughest days seem bearable. But as the years passed, Jason began to face challenges that threatened the fragile stability of their life. A persistent cough that wouldn't go away, and increasing bouts of exhaustion were just the beginning. One chilly autumn evening, as the wind whispered secrets through the nearly bare trees, Jason sat in a doctor's office, anxiety gnawing at him. The doctor's grim diagnosis confirmed his fears. A rare, life-threatening heart condition was slowly stealing his strength. The treatments required were expensive, far beyond the modest income he earned at the garage. The news came as a blow, but Jason's love for Lily eclipsed his personal suffering. He couldn't let her future be compromised by his failing health. Determined to secure the resources she would need, college tuition, a safe home, and the chance to chase her dreams, Jason made a choice that would forever change both their lives. Late one night, as the clock ticked quietly in the darkness, Jason met with a man named Robert. Robert was known around town as a successful businessman, but beneath his polished exterior lay connections to unsavory circles. With eyes that betrayed both empathy and resolve, Robert proposed a deal that promised the funds Jason desperately needed for treatment and to build a future for Lily. The cost, however, was steep. Jason would have to work for him, doing tasks that might compromise the simple integrity he had always known. In that moment, Jason's heart wavered between desperation and caution. But his mind quickly made the decision. If this was the price for Lily's secure future, he would pay it without a second thought. With a heavy yet resolute heart, he agreed. For the following year, Jason navigated a shadowy world far removed from his comfortable, honest life. By day, he repaired cars and mended engines at his garage. By night, he carried out errands and tasks for Robert, all shrouded in secrecy. His actions became a delicate balancing act, ensuring that Lily never sensed the turmoil behind her father's gentle smile, while also meeting the grim demands of a man whose moral compass was as ambiguous as the dark side of the moon. Every time Jason stepped out into the night, he left behind a piece of himself. Secret notes tucked under the cushions, a whispered apology in the silence of the early hours, and a promise scribbled on scraps of paper that said, "For Lily's future." He rationalized each compromise with the thought that his sacrifices were temporary, that the love he poured into every covert mission would eventually pay off. And as Lily blossomed, excelling at school and dreaming of becoming a scientist or an artist, Jason felt both pride and an ever-growing burden of guilt. Despite his dangerous double life, moments of unexpected levity still found their way into their home. Lily would occasionally catch her father humming old tunes as he worked, his voice soft and off-key, but filled with an unexplainable joy. On weekends, they would take long walks through the park, where Jason would point out every interesting detail, a squirrel's acrobatic leap or the way sunlight danced on the leaves, and make Lily laugh with stories of a time when he, too, was a carefree dreamer. As winter descended on Maple Creek, the chills seemed to mirror the growing frost in Jason's weakened heart. The treatments Robert had funded offered him a sliver of hope, but they were fighting a battle that his body was losing. One crisp morning, as Lily prepared for her first day at college, Jason's condition deteriorated sharply. With trembling hands and his soul weighed down by the secrets he carried, he handed Lily a sealed envelope. "Open this when you're alone," he whispered, his voice cracking with the strain of hidden truths. Lily, sensing that this farewell was more profound than any other moment, embraced him tightly. "I love you, Daddy," she murmured, not fully understanding the gravity of the gift she was about to receive. Weeks passed in a blur of academic excitement and homesick nostalgia. One rainy afternoon, while sitting by her dorm window with the sound of raindrops tapping softly against the glass, Lily finally opened the envelope. Inside, a letter unfolded the story of her father's sacrifices in painstaking detail. With each word, her heart raced, reading about how he had taken out a second mortgage on their small house, sold his truck, and even his beloved tools to raise the money needed for her education and his treatment. Yet the letter was not merely a recounting of financial decisions, it was a confession. Jason's careful handwriting revealed the hidden truth. "My dearest Lily, I have always tried to shield you from life's harsh realities. But you deserve to know that the funds you now have were not earned in the usual way. I worked for a man named Robert, a man whose past is darker than most can imagine. Every dollar, every sacrifice, was a risk taken to secure your future. I ask you, my love, never to seek out the details of how it was earned. Let the money be a testament to my love, and not a burden upon your soul. I made mistakes, choices that cost me dearly, but each was made with the hope of a brighter tomorrow for you." The revelation struck Lily like a thunderbolt. Her father, the man she had idolized for his unwavering kindness, had tread paths she could hardly fathom. Confusion and sorrow mingled in her heart as she reread the lines, struggling to reconcile the image of the gentle mechanic with the secret life of moral ambiguity. The weight of his words pressed upon her, leaving her with a cocktail of gratitude, regret, and an insatiable need to understand. Determined to piece together the remnants of her father's hidden past, Lily embarked on a quiet quest for answers. She began by visiting the few neighbors who remembered Jason's younger days. Their stories painted a picture of a man who had once been full of promise, a hard-working individual with a bright future ahead. Yet, as Lily dug deeper, she encountered whispered rumors of a troubled period in Jason's life, a chapter he had never spoken of. One crisp afternoon, Lily found herself standing outside an old, faded building where Robert's office once stood. Hesitantly, she reached out to Robert. To her surprise, Robert agreed to meet. In a small, dimly lit cafe on the edge of town, the man who had once been a shadow in her father's story revealed his side of the tale. Robert's voice was low and remorseful as he recounted how he and Jason had been brought together by fate. Jason was desperate, Robert said, stirring his coffee absent-mindedly. He had lost everything but the love for his daughter. I saw in him a kind of desperation I hadn't seen in years. I offered him a way out, a chance to save his daughter's future. It wasn't an easy path for either of us. I did things I'm not proud of, and so did he. But in the end, his heart was always in the right place. Robert explained that while his business dealings had once skirted the edges of legality, he had eventually turned away from that life. Yet, his assistance to Jason came at a price, a price that involved tasks that Jason deeply regretted having to perform. He paid dearly for what he did, Robert added quietly. I hope you understand that his love for you was so profound that he chose this path out of sheer necessity. His soul, in many ways, belonged to a past he hoped to bury, all for the sake of your future. Armed with these revelations, Lily's initial shock slowly transformed into a profound respect for the man her father had been. His sacrifices were not a mark of moral failure, but rather a testament to the extremes he was willing to go to for the woman he adored. In time, Lily's heart began to heal as she found solace in the memories of her father's gentle humor, the way he would make up silly songs while driving her to school, the comforting stories he told on sleepless nights, and the quiet, steadfast presence he maintained despite all odds. The turning point came one day when, rummaging through a dusty box of old belongings in the attic of their childhood home, Lily discovered one final envelope, hidden behind a framed family photograph. With trembling fingers, she opened it to find a letter, unlike any she had read before. Dear Lily, it began, if you're reading this, then you have already learned much of my truth. There is one more secret I must share, a secret that has weighed on my soul since before you were born. I once had a life of promise, filled with opportunities and love. But a single grievous mistake led me down a path I never imagined. I lost everything, my career, my pride, even the chance to be truly happy, until I found you. In you, I discovered redemption. Every sacrifice, every hard choice I made was an effort to build a life of atonement and hope for you. Please carry this truth in your heart and know that my actions, no matter how flawed, were all for you. Reading these words, Lily felt an overwhelming mix of sorrow and gratitude. The shock of the revelations was undeniable, but so was the profound realization that her father's sacrifices were acts of deep, selfless love. The money he had left behind, tainted by its origins in a shadowy past, now shone as a symbol of his relentless determination to secure a future for her, a future filled with opportunities and hope, despite the darkness he had once navigated. In the years that followed, Lily chose not to be haunted by the secrets of her father's past. Instead, she channeled the lessons of his sacrifices into building a life of compassion and integrity. She established a scholarship fund in his name, ensuring that children from all walks of life could pursue their dreams without the heavy burden of financial hardship. Every time she saw a young person succeed, she felt her father's spirit smiling down on her, a quiet reminder of the love that had shaped her destiny. Lily also made a point to share her father's story with others, not as a tale of shame or regret, but as an inspiring narrative of the lengths a parent will go for the sake of their child. In every telling, the message was clear. True love sometimes demands sacrifices that defy conventional morality, and it is through these sacrifices that the purest forms of hope and redemption are born. As the years turned into decades, Lily's life blossomed into one of quiet achievement and heartfelt generosity. Though the final twist of her father's story was shocking, a revelation of a past mired in dangerous compromises, it ultimately illuminated a profound truth: that even in the midst of our darkest moments, love has the power to transform pain into purpose. Jason Harris had indeed sacrificed everything for his daughter, and in doing so he left behind a legacy that would inspire generations. His story, filled with both heartbreak and hope, serves as a timeless reminder that the sacrifices we make for the ones we love are never in vain, and that true redemption is found not in the absence of imperfection, but in the courage to love despite it all.